In a world filled with noise, literal noise, figurative noise, silence is often overlooked. People think silence is nothing, an absence, a gap between words or moments. But that's not what silence is. Silence is powerful. It's a tool, and when you know how to use it, it can change the way you connect with others, make decisions, and take care of your own peace of mind. You see, silence isn't about emptiness. Silence can say more than words ever could. It gives us room to breathe, to think, to understand. It's a way to listen when we're tired of all the talking. Silence can stop a fight before it starts, calm the storm, or allow us to find clarity when we're confused. There are moments in life when silence is the best response, and when you learn to recognize those moments, you realize that sometimes silence speaks louder than words. The first situation: misunderstood feelings. Feelings are complex, layered, and sometimes difficult to express. They can be raw and intense, or subtle and fleeting, often leaving the person feeling them and those around them confused. Misunderstood emotions are like a symphony where each instrument plays out of sync, making the melody unclear. At the core of this idea is the challenge of expressing emotions that don't fit neatly into categories like joy, sadness, anger, or love. Instead, these feelings exist somewhere in between, nuanced and hard to define. Few actors capture this complexity with as much depth, intensity, and relatability as Denzel Washington. Washington's portrayal of characters with misunderstood emotions has a distinct, almost tangible quality that deeply resonates with audiences. His characters often struggle with internal conflicts, moral uncertainty, and external pressures. This complexity allows Washington to create performances that make even the toughest emotions feel human. He delivers a masterclass in showing how misunderstood feelings can emerge, shift, and sometimes unravel. Washington doesn't just show surface-level emotions, he taps into the layers underneath. Take his role as Alonzo Harris in Training Day, for example. Alonzo is driven by ambition and power, but beneath that lies a whirlwind of emotions, fear, anger, even betrayal, that aren't immediately visible. Washington doesn't reduce Alonzo to a simple villain. Instead, he injects the character with a sense of misunderstood feelings. Alonzo's hunger for control and power is rooted in a fear of losing everything he's built. This is never directly stated, but it simmers under Washington's actions and expressions. The audience is left to question whether Alonzo's ruthlessness is fueled by malice or by his own insecurities and emotional wounds. Misunderstood feelings don't always have to be loud and dramatic. They can quietly simmer beneath the surface, only to boil over later. Washington's portrayal of Troy Maxson in Fences speaks to this quieter, internalized struggle. Troy, weighed down by the burdens of race, poverty, missed opportunities, and personal failures, wrestles with emotions that are hard to untangle. He harbors deep resentment, not just toward the world, but toward himself for not achieving the life he imagined. Yet this resentment isn't purely anger, it's a knot of emotions, love and disappointment mixed with guilt and hope. Washington's brilliance is in his ability to show these contradictions without fully verbalizing them. Troy's relationships, especially with his family, are strained by these misunderstood emotions. He wants to be a good father and husband, but his inner bitterness seeps into everything, leaving his loved ones to deal with the emotional aftermath. Washington's nuanced approach to misunderstood feelings also shines in his portrayal of Whip Whitaker in Flight. In this role, Washington plays a man grappling with addiction, heroism, and self-worth. Whip's inner conflict is so misunderstood, both by himself and those around him, that it leads to a downward spiral. His substance abuse is more than just an escape. It's a symptom of unresolved emotional turmoil. He saves lives in a heroic act, but he can't save himself from his inner demons. Washington reveals the cracks in Whip's armor, the moments of doubt and vulnerability that make his eventual redemption even more poignant. It's not just about addiction, it's about the misunderstood emotions behind Whip's choices, the guilt, shame, and fear he hides behind a mask of bravado. One of Washington's most understated yet powerful performances that captures misunderstood emotions is his role as Rubin Hurricane Carter in The Hurricane. Wrongfully imprisoned for murder, Carter is filled with rage and defiance, but is also deeply philosophical and reflective. His emotions are a mix of anger at the injustice he faces, hope for his freedom, and a desire to stay true to his principles. Washington beautifully captures this duality, showing that while Carter refuses to be broken by the system, he's still profoundly affected by his circumstances. His anger is justified, but it's also intertwined with sadness and longing for the life taken from him. Washington's portrayal invites the audience to see the vulnerable emotions beneath Carter's tough exterior, the heartbreak and vulnerability from years of unjust suffering. Another standout example of Washington's ability to convey misunderstood feelings is his role as John Q. Archibald in John Q. Washington plays a father pushed to his breaking point by a healthcare system that won't save his dying son. John's desperate actions, holding an emergency room hostage, are extreme, but they come from a place of deep love, helplessness, and desperation. His emotional state can't easily be categorized. On one hand, he's a father willing to do anything to save his child. On the other, he's a man wrestling with the moral weight of his choices. Washington doesn't just play John as a desperate father. He shows the full range of emotions swirling within him: anger, fear, guilt, and love, all mixing together in a storm of feelings. These misunderstood emotions make the character so compelling. John's moral compass isn't broken, it's just skewed by the intensity of his feelings. At the heart of Washington's performances is his ability to make us empathize with characters whose emotions are hard to understand. He doesn't just portray feelings, he embodies them, giving voice to what's often left unsaid. His characters aren't always likable, but they're always relatable because of the humanity he brings to them. Whether it's the quiet suffering of a man trapped by circumstances, the fury of someone wronged by the system, or the inner conflict of a person struggling with moral choices, Washington offers a window into the complexity of human emotions. Misunderstood feelings resist easy categorization. They live in the gray areas of life, where right and wrong, love and hate, joy and sadness blend together. Washington thrives in these gray areas, embracing emotional complexity. He shows that the most powerful performances don't come from big dramatic moments, but from subtle, almost imperceptible shifts in emotion. In those moments, when a character pauses before speaking, or their eyes flicker with an emotion they're not ready to face, Washington excels. He understands that real emotions are rarely straightforward, and this depth brings authenticity to every character he plays. In the end, misunderstood feelings are a fundamental part of the human experience, and Denzel Washington's ability to portray them on screen is unmatched. Whether through quiet introspection or intense outbursts, his characters navigate emotional complexity in ways that are captivating and relatable. His performances remind us that emotions are rarely simple, and that in moments of misunderstanding, when feelings are confused, conflicted, or hidden, we find the truest expressions of humanity. Washington doesn't just act, he makes us feel the weight of his character's emotions, leaving a lasting impression long after the movie ends. His ability to convey misunderstood emotions elevates his work, making him not just an incredible actor, but a storyteller of the human soul. The second situation: unspoken understanding. Denzel Washington, an actor whose career spans over 4 decades, has left an indelible mark on both the film industry and the hearts of audiences worldwide. One of the key elements that distinguishes Washington's acting is his profound ability to convey emotion and depth through what can only be termed as unspoken understanding. This refers to the way Washington communicates complex feelings, thoughts and motivations without relying on overt dialogue, instead using subtle body language, facial expressions and pauses. His performances exude a quiet intensity that draws viewers in, making them feel as though they are privy to something deeper, an understanding that words cannot always express. Throughout his career, Washington has embraced roles that require him to deliver multi-dimensional performances, often portraying characters who face moral, social, or personal dilemmas. Whether he's playing a stoic cop, a struggling father, or a charismatic leader, Washington's ability to express the inner workings of his character through minimal dialogue and strategic silence is unparalleled. This essay explores Denzel Washington's gift for this unspoken form of acting and how it has become a defining feature of his on-screen persona, as well as a powerful tool in elevating the narratives of his films. Early career: the formation of a signature-style Denzel. Washington's early career, which began in the late 1970s, was marked by roles that allowed him to hone his acting abilities across a wide range of genres. From the outset, Washington demonstrated a unique ability to command attention, even in small or supporting roles. His breakthrough came in the 1987 film Cry Freedom, in which he played the South African anti-apartheid activist Steve Biko. Though much of the film's drama revolved around the political turmoil of apartheid, Washington's portrayal of Biko is imbued with a quiet dignity and resilience, even when the character is physically silenced by his oppressors. The strength of his performance lay not in grand speeches, but in the way his character's emotions simmered just below the surface, communicated through subtle gestures and a deeply expressive gaze. By the time Washington starred in Glory, 1989, his ability to convey a character's internal struggles without excessive dialogue had become even more apparent. His portrayal of Private Silas Tripp, an escaped slave fighting in the Civil War, earned him an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. In one of the most powerful scenes, Washington's character is whipped for desertion. The camera focuses on his face as he silently endures the punishment, a single tear falling from his eye. The absence of dialogue heightens the emotional weight of the scene, and Washington's ability to convey Tripp's pain, anger, and pride without uttering a word is a testament to his mastery of unspoken performance. Mastering the art of silence. Washington's ability to use silence and subtle physicality to convey meaning reaches a pinnacle in films like Malcolm X, 1992, and The Hurricane, 1999, both of which are biographical dramas cantered on iconic and outspoken figures. Playing these roles could have easily led to performances dominated by impassioned monologues or fiery speeches. Yet Washington consistently balanced these moments with periods of intense, introspective silence that spoke volumes. In Malcolm X, one of the most defining scenes occurs when Malcolm, Washington, walks through the streets of Harlem, silently observing the people he has dedicated his life to. His stride is steady and purposeful, his eyes scanning the faces of men, women, and children with a look of determination and sorrow. Although he says nothing in these moments, Washington's body language and facial expressions convey the immense weight of the responsibility Malcolm feels, as well as his internal conflict about the path ahead. The audience does not need words to understand the gravity of what is being communicated. Washington's nuanced performance makes it clear. Similarly, in The Hurricane, Washington portrays Rubin "Hurricane" Carter, a boxer wrongfully convicted of murder. Much of the film is spent following Carter's journey of fighting for justice from within the confines of a prison cell. There are long stretches of the film where Carter is shown in quiet contemplation, his face often turned away from the camera as if lost in thought. Washington's stillness in these scenes speaks volumes about his character's internal struggle, his longing for freedom, his frustration with the injustice he has suffered, and his determination to maintain his dignity. These moments of silence, far from being empty, are charged with meaning, drawing the audience deeper into Carter's emotional world. The power of minimalism, elevating drama through restraint. Washington's mastery of the unspoken often lies in his minimalist approach to emotional expression. He understands that sometimes less is more, and this restraint allows the audience to engage more fully with the story. In films like Training Day, 2001, where Washington plays the morally corrupt detective Alonzo Harris, his use of pauses and silence amplifies the tension between characters. Alonzo is a character who uses power and intimidation to get what he wants, but his authority is often expressed not through loud threats, but through an unnerving calmness. In one memorable scene, Alonzo sits in a car with rookie cop Jake Hoyt, played by Ethan Hawke, staring at him in silence for what feels like an eternity before speaking. The silence is heavy, pregnant with menace, and when Alonzo finally does speak, it feels like a release of the tension Washington has so carefully built. The scene exemplifies how Washington uses silence as a form of control, not just over his co-stars, but over the audience as well. He forces the viewer to lean in, to pay attention to every flicker of emotion that passes over his face, knowing that what is not being said is just as important, if not more so, than the words themselves. This same technique is evident in Washington's portrayal of Troy Maxson in Fences, 2016, a role that won him critical acclaim and an Academy Award nomination. Adapted from August Wilson's Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Fences is a story rich in dialogue, yet some of the most powerful moments come when Washington allows silence to fill the space between words. In his confrontations with his son Corey, for example, Washington's Troy often stands still, arms crossed, his face a mask of suppressed emotion. His silence is not empty. It is loaded with years of disappointment, anger, and unspoken love. By withholding verbal expression, Washington creates a deeper resonance, inviting the audience to feel the tension that permeates the scene. Partnering with directors. Trust in the unspoken. Part of what makes Washington's unspoken understanding so effective is his collaboration with directors who trust his instincts and give him the space to express these subtleties. His long-time partnership with director Antoine Fuqua, for instance, has resulted in several films where Washington's quiet intensity takes center stage. In The Equalizer, 2014, and its sequel, Washington plays Robert McCall, a former Black Ops operative living a quiet life. Much of McCall's character is defined by his restraint. His calm demeanor contrasts sharply with the violent justice he delivers to those who prey on the vulnerable. Fuqua allows Washington to dominate the screen with his silence, knowing that his presence alone can carry the weight of the narrative. This trust is also evident in Washington's work with other directors, such as Spike Lee. Their collaboration on Inside Man, 2006, a taut crime thriller, showcases Washington's ability to navigate moments of high tension with understated precision. As Detective Keith Frazier, Washington often relies on body language and silence to convey his character's growing frustration and determination to solve the case. The film's dialogue-heavy scenes are punctuated by quiet moments, where Washington's expressions do all the talking, allowing the audience to understand Frazier's internal conflict without him needing to articulate it. Legacy of the unspoken, impact on acting and storytelling. Denzel Washington's use of unspoken understanding in his performances has had a profound impact not only on his own career, but also on the art of acting as a whole. His ability to communicate complex emotions through silence has influenced a generation of actors who recognize the power of subtlety and restraint. In an industry where dialogue often takes precedence, Washington has shown that sometimes the most powerful moments are those where nothing is said at all. This technique also enhances the storytelling in the films he stars in, as it allows the audience to engage more deeply with the narrative. By withholding information, whether it's a character's motivation, feelings, or intentions, Washington creates a space for the audience to fill in the blanks, making the experience of watching his films more immersive. His performances invite viewers to pay attention to the smallest details, to the flicker of an eye, or the tightening of a jaw, knowing that these subtle cues often reveal more than words ever could. Denzel Washington's unspoken understanding is a hallmark of his acting style, one that has cemented his reputation as one of the greatest actors of his generation. His ability to convey depth and complexity without relying on dialogue sets him apart in a world where words often dominate the screen. Through his mastery of silence, Washington has created a cinematic language all his own, one that speaks to the heart of human emotion and resonates long after the credits roll. The third situation, choosing silence over nonsense. In today's fast-paced, always connected world, the value of silence has become more significant than ever. Silence offers a refuge from the overwhelming noise and distractions that saturate our lives: news, social media, and constant digital engagement. Choosing silence over nonsense is not just about escaping the noise, but about reclaiming control over our attention, emotions, and well-being. The power of silence in a noisy world. Silence is a form of self-care, a break from the relentless influx of information. It creates space for reflection and rejuvenation, allowing us to connect with ourselves. Nonsense, in contrast, is the unproductive noise, gossip, meaningless entertainment, and toxic communication that clutters our minds. By choosing silence, we regain mental clarity and focus on what truly matters. Psychological benefits of silence. Silence is healing for the mind and body. Studies have shown that quiet moments reduce stress, enhance cognitive function, and even promote creativity. In a world where constant noise can lead to mental fatigue, silence provides the brain a chance to reset and process information. This pause is essential for fostering deeper thought and encouraging innovation. Silence as a tool for emotional resilience. In confrontational moments, silence can be the most powerful response. It allows us to remain calm, avoid impulsive reactions, and preserve emotional energy. Ancient philosophies like Stoicism teach the value of silence in maintaining inner peace amidst chaos. Rather than engaging in trivial arguments or emotional outbursts, silence becomes a strength, a form of emotional mastery. The art of listening through silence. In communication, silence can be transformative. It allows us to listen more deeply, understanding not just words, but emotions and subtext. True listening is active, and silence gives us the space to fully engage with others. By practicing silence, we improve our relationships and become better communicators. Digital silence, a new dimension. In the digital age, where engagement is constant, silence has taken on new importance. Choosing silence in social media, taking breaks, avoiding unnecessary debates, or limiting screen time can be a form of digital detox. It's about consciously disengaging from the endless cycle of noise to protect our mental health. Silence as a form of protest and empowerment. Historically, silence has been used as a powerful form of protest, exemplifying strength and defiance without the need for words. Today, silence can be a personal rebellion against societal pressures, a way of rejecting the distractions that prevent us from living authentically. It's a conscious choice to focus on what matters, rather than conforming to the noisy demands of the world. Challenges of embracing silence. Choosing silence isn't easy. It requires mindfulness, discipline, and the ability to sit with one's thoughts, which can be uncomfortable. Moreover, in a culture that prizes constant communication, silence may be misunderstood, but those who embrace it understand its transformative power. Incorporating silence into daily life. To cultivate silence, one can engage in practices like meditation, journaling, or setting aside quiet time each day. Reducing digital noise, avoiding unnecessary conversations, and creating spaces of peace in your environment are also effective ways to incorporate silence. Silence as a path to fulfillment. Silence is not simply the absence of noise, but the presence of intentionality, focus, and clarity. It allows us to filter out distractions and live more authentically. In a world full of noise, silence becomes a powerful tool for growth, peace, and deeper engagement with ourselves and others. By embracing silence, we enrich our lives and create space for more meaningful experiences. The fourth situation: silence as a response to the unworthy. In the intricate tapestry of human communication, silence often emerges as a profound and multifaceted response, particularly in contexts where the unworthy, those who seek to manipulate, deceive, or undermine, are involved. This essay delves into the myriad dimensions of silence as a powerful reaction to unworthy behavior, examining its implications, cultural significance, psychological underpinnings, and potential consequences in various interpersonal and societal contexts. Silence, in its essence, can serve as a protective mechanism, a means of self-preservation against the toxicity of unworthy individuals. When confronted with manipulation or insincerity, choosing silence can be a deliberate act of withdrawal, a refusal to engage in dialogues that lack authenticity or respect. In this light, silence becomes an assertion of self-worth, signaling to others that one will not entertain disrespect or trivialization. It reflects an understanding of one's own value and a recognition that engaging with unworthy individuals only serves to diminish that worth. By choosing not to respond, individuals assert their agency, distancing themselves from the chaos created by those who thrive on discord. Culturally, the significance of silence varies widely. In some traditions, silence is revered as a space for reflection and introspection, allowing individuals to process their thoughts and emotions before responding. In Eastern philosophies, for instance, silence is often associated with wisdom and contemplation. In these contexts, choosing silence in response to unworthy behavior may be viewed as a sign of maturity and depth. Conversely, in Western cultures, where verbal communication is often prioritized, silence can be misinterpreted as weakness or avoidance. This divergence highlights the complex interplay between cultural norms and individual responses to unworthy behavior, emphasizing that silence is not a universal response, but rather a context-dependent choice. Psychologically, silence can evoke a range of emotions, both for the individual who chooses it and the one on the receiving end. For the former, silence can be liberating, providing a moment to gather thoughts and regain composure in the face of provocation. It can also serve as a form of emotional regulation, allowing individuals to avoid reactive responses that may escalate conflict. However, silence may also lead to internal turmoil. The weight of unexpressed feelings can linger, creating a tension between the desire to speak out and the decision to remain silent. For the latter, silence can be disconcerting. Unworthy individuals often thrive on attention and engagement, and silence can strip them of their power, leaving them bewildered and frustrated. This dynamic can be particularly effective in disarming manipulative behaviors, as the absence of response often disrupts the intended impact of their words or actions. Moreover, silence as a response to unworthy behavior can carry significant ethical implications. It raises questions about complicity and accountability. By choosing silence, individuals may inadvertently enable unworthy actions to persist unchallenged. This is especially pertinent in situations involving systemic injustice or oppression, where silence can perpetuate harm and diminish the voices of those affected. In these instances, the act of remaining silent can be interpreted as a tacit endorsement of the status quo, highlighting the ethical responsibility to speak out against unworthy behaviors rather than retreating into silence. However, the strategic use of silence can also serve as a form of resistance. In many social movements, silence has been employed as a powerful statement against oppression, highlighting the struggles of marginalized voices that have historically been silenced. Movements such as the Not a Me Too campaign have utilized silence as a form of protest, where the act of not speaking, whether it be through silence in the face of harassment or the collective silence of those who have suffered, draws attention to the pervasive nature of unworthy behavior. Here, silence transforms into a means of solidarity and collective empowerment, challenging the very structures that seek to silence the oppressed. Furthermore, the impact of silence extends beyond the individual level to encompass broader societal dynamics. In political discourse, for instance, silence can serve as a strategic maneuver to avoid engagement with disingenuous arguments or to refuse legitimizing harmful rhetoric. Politicians and activists alike may choose silence as a way to resist engaging in debates that are fundamentally unworthy of discourse, redirecting attention toward more substantive issues. In this context, silence can become a form of activism, a refusal to participate in dialogues that do not align with one's values or ethical standards. The implications of silence as a response to the unworthy also traverse the realm of personal relationships. In intimate settings, silence can indicate a range of emotions, from disappointment to disillusionment. For example, in a relationship marked by betrayal or dishonesty, silence can emerge as a necessary boundary, protecting one's emotional well-being. The act of withdrawing from conversations with unworthy partners can serve as a pivotal moment of self-preservation, allowing individuals to reevaluate their priorities and establish healthier boundaries. However, the challenge lies in balancing silence with the need for communication, as prolonged silence can breed misunderstandings and resentment. In professional environments, silence can also serve as a double-edged sword. In the face of unworthy colleagues or superiors, silence may initially appear as an appropriate response to avoid confrontation. However, this choice can lead to a toxic work environment, where unworthy behaviors go unchecked, ultimately undermining team cohesion and productivity. Conversely, speaking out against unworthy practices can foster a culture of accountability and transparency, reinforcing the importance of addressing issues rather than retreating into silence. Striking this balance requires a nuanced understanding of the dynamics at play, recognizing when silence serves as a protective measure and when it becomes a hindrance to progress. As individuals navigate their responses to the unworthy, the question of when to break silence becomes crucial. While silence can be empowering, it is equally important to recognize the moments when voicing concerns or taking a stand is necessary. This involves cultivating awareness of the impact of silence on oneself and others, considering the potential consequences of inaction. Developing the ability to discern when silence serves a constructive purpose and when it may perpetuate harm is an essential skill in fostering healthy relationships and contributing to a more just society. Silence as a response to the unworthy is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that encompasses cultural, psychological, and ethical dimensions. It serves as both a protective mechanism and a strategic choice, reflecting an individual's values and understanding of their self-worth. While silence can empower individuals to disengage from manipulative dynamics, it also raises critical questions about complicity and accountability. Ultimately, navigating the delicate balance between silence and expression is essential in fostering meaningful connections and addressing unworthy behaviors in various contexts. The choice to remain silent or to speak out is not merely a reaction, it is a deliberate decision that shapes the contours of relationships, communities, and society at large. In a world where unworthy behaviors continue to challenge our values, understanding the role of silence becomes an imperative for personal empowerment and social change. The fifth situation: silence for clarity and truth. In our increasingly noisy world, where opinions and information flow ceaselessly through various media channels, the power of silence often goes overlooked. Silence is more than just the absence of sound. It serves as a profound tool for clarity and truth. To embrace silence is to create a space for reflection, introspection, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The journey towards clarity and truth through silence can be a transformative experience, enabling us to cut through the noise and engage with our inner thoughts, feelings, and perceptions in a more meaningful way. The importance of silence can be traced back to ancient philosophies and spiritual practices that recognized its value. Many cultures have revered silence as a pathway to enlightenment, healing, and self-discovery. In Eastern philosophies, for instance, meditation practices emphasize the need for silence to cultivate awareness and presence. The act of sitting in silence allows individuals to confront their thoughts without judgment, providing an opportunity to sift through distractions and identify what truly matters. In Western traditions, thinkers like Socrates championed the importance of introspection, often stating that an unexamined life is not worth living. Here, silence becomes a tool for self-examination, prompting individuals to ask critical questions about their beliefs, values, and motivations. When we practice silence, we create an environment conducive to active listening. In conversations, the urge to respond can often drown out the speaker's words, leading to misunderstandings and superficial exchanges. However, by embracing silence, we can develop the ability to truly listen, which is essential for fostering empathy and understanding. Listening deeply in silence allows us to absorb the nuances of a conversation, leading to a more profound connection with others. This deeper level of engagement not only enriches our relationships, but also enhances our ability to discern truth from falsehood in the opinions and beliefs shared around us. Moreover, silence offers a refuge from the overwhelming influx of information that characterizes contemporary society. With the rise of social media, news outlets, and constant connectivity, many individuals find themselves bombarded by competing narratives and perspectives. This relentless flow of information can lead to confusion, anxiety, and a sense of disconnection from our authentic selves. In moments of silence, we can step back from this barrage and assess what resonates with us personally. This practice of discernment is essential for cultivating a sense of clarity. It allows us to sift through the noise, identifying the messages that align with our values and beliefs, while disregarding those that do not serve our greater understanding. Furthermore, silence serves as a canvas for creativity and innovation. Many artists, writers, and thinkers have noted that their most profound insights often arise during moments of quiet contemplation. When the external world quiets down, our minds have the space to wander freely, allowing new ideas to emerge and old thoughts to be reimagined. Silence can break the cycle of habitual thinking, encouraging fresh perspectives and solutions. In this way, silence becomes a catalyst for creativity, inviting us to explore the uncharted territories of our minds where truth often resides. Silence also plays a crucial role in personal growth and emotional healing. In a world that often values productivity and constant busyness, taking the time to be silent and still can feel counterintuitive. Yet this intentional pause allows us to process our emotions and experiences fully. When we engage in silence, we create a space to acknowledge our feelings, confront our fears, and embrace our vulnerabilities. This emotional processing is essential for healing, as it allows us to release pent-up emotions and gain clarity about our inner landscape. Through silence, we can identify patterns and triggers that may have previously gone unnoticed, leading to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our needs. In addition to fostering personal insight, silence can also enhance our capacity for critical thinking. In a society that often prioritizes quick responses and instant gratification, taking the time to reflect in silence can be a radical act. Silence allows us to question the information we encounter, encouraging us to think critically about the sources and motivations behind it. In a world filled with misinformation and sensationalism, cultivating a habit of silent reflection can empower us to discern truth from falsehood more effectively. By resisting the urge to react immediately, we can approach complex issues with a more analytical mindset, considering multiple perspectives before forming our conclusions. The benefits of silence extend beyond the individual. They also have the potential to enrich our communities and society as a whole. In group settings, encouraging moments of silence can foster a culture of reflection and thoughtful dialogue. This practice allows participants to process their thoughts before sharing, resulting in more meaningful and constructive conversations. In the context of conflict resolution, silence can serve as a powerful tool for de-escalation, allowing individuals to step back and reflect on their emotions and reactions. This pause can lead to more empathetic responses and a greater willingness to find common ground. As we consider the myriad benefits of silence for clarity and truth, it is essential to recognize that embracing silence does not equate to passivity or avoidance. Rather, it is an active and intentional practice that requires discipline and commitment. In a world that often glorifies noise and distraction, carving out time for silence can be challenging. It may involve setting boundaries around technology, creating designated quiet spaces, or simply finding moments throughout the day to pause and breathe. Each of these choices contributes to a larger practice of honoring silence, ultimately leading us closer to clarity and truth. The journey of embracing silence is a personal one, and its manifestations can vary widely from person to person. For some, it may involve engaging in formal meditation or mindfulness practices, while for others, it may simply mean taking walks in nature or spending time alone in reflection. Whatever the approach, the key is to find what resonates with us personally and to commit to making silence a regular part of our lives. By doing so, we not only cultivate clarity and truth within ourselves, but also contribute to a more thoughtful and empathetic society. In conclusion, silence is a powerful ally in our quest for clarity and truth. By embracing silence, we create a space for self-reflection, active listening, emotional healing, and critical thinking. In a world that often prioritizes noise and distraction, the practice of silence invites us to step back and engage with our thoughts and emotions more deeply. As we navigate the complexities of our lives and the world around us, let us remember the transformative potential of silence, a space where clarity emerges, truth is revealed, and genuine connection flourishes. In this journey, we may find that silence is not just an absence of sound, but a profound source of wisdom that can guide us towards a more authentic and meaningful existence. These 5 situations underline the importance of silence in our lives. It is not just a means to avoid conflict, but a tool to encourage self-reflection, promote understanding, and foster deeper relationships. So, the next time you find yourself in any of these situations, remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Embrace the silence, for it holds wisdom beyond words.